It is a great pleasure to be with you today to open this remarkable conference on artificial intelligence, bringing together leading minds from Germany and the Arab world. This conference is more than a scientific forum. It is a bridge of dialogue between the two great cultures, Arab and German, united by shared belief in knowledge, innovations, and human cooperation. I hope this conference will spark new ideas, foster partnerships, and strengthen scientific and cultural cooperation between Germany and the Arab world.
Today, when we look at the AI, I think there's a lot of people who are so narrowly looking into it from the perspective of technology. I think the challenge of AI would always be the interaction between the AI and the human being, whether it's from a cultural perspective, whether it is from cross-culture aspect, and from all of that. And I am a big believer that in the future, the main challenge, the main elements of AI would be the framework, the ethical, the cultural framework of that AI, because this technology is so related to the data, related to the place was created, that it will make it so linked into the people and the data that it was created for. So that, I think, put on all of our shoulders a lot of weight of trying to really see how we can really not assume that we will slow the technology, not to assume how we are really going to be catching up with the technology, but as how we can be, if you would like, perceiving technology and making sure that this technology is for the human good. And I think this is as important as every other aspect of the technology.
Whose culture is represented in the artificial intelligence? Whether it's a large language model that's chatting with your children, or a vision model that's generating visual art or design ideas. And also, who gets to decide what culture goes into those machines? Is there diversity in this culture? Does it represent all perspectives, or is it biased in one or another direction? But then if you zoom out to a higher level, then there's a question of power, geopolitics, that becomes extremely important. When you can talk to 300 million people per month, and you have one voice, and you can steer this voice, are you able to shift opinions on a political conflict, on a social topic? You know, how should we parent our children, and so on? These are just some of the challenges. How do we measure these things? How do we identify them with precision? How do we attribute intent to the different political actors who are involved, and the activists and the counter-activists and the governments and so on? And how do we then build tools to fix some of these problems, to maintain this order in this system? What kind of institutions do we need?
I'll speak about two-way encounter. AI, I don't want to say creeping into, getting into the realm of religion and putting pressures on religious individuals and religious scholars to see how much space we can give to this AI and in what way. And but this will be very brief. How Islam can also contribute to the AI, or is actually contributing to the AI global ethical discourse.
I think there is a strong characterization of stereotyping of established religions as regressive amongst a lot of these conversations. As I said, some rationalist, transhumanist groups are very overtly atheist, new atheists in formats, strongly opposed to what they see as the irrationality of religion. But then, as I say, you see this more implicit religious activity developing, the language and the formation of ideas about the utopian future that is still very strongly tied to this cultural context, but denies the specificity of particular beliefs. It's a sort of reformation of the spiritual but not religious idea from sociology, which was applied for a long time to the New Age movement, but equally works for the transhumanist communities as well.
There are different parallels between AI and religion in one way or another, and I see that as far as the Islamic tradition is required. But I think any moral, religious, or secular tradition, you don't have the option to say, I don't care and it's not my business and I will not say anything about that. You don't have this option. You have to engage, but the question is how.
In our work, we look at what we can learn through satellite images about things that are going on in society. This is important, for example, during humanitarian crisis, if you want to look at how many people have left a certain area, or even assess, the damage level in Gaza, for example. Right? At the same time, people are not aware of the privacy risks that such images pose. So this is, I think, why this is a really interesting and important topic to look at. Yeah, events like these are really, really important, right? I mean, it's important that you learn other perspectives from people from other sort of cultures and other backgrounds. Right? The whole field of AI is still new, right, in the grander schemes of things, right? And we always only hear the Western narrative on the development of AI and on AI regulations. And so I'm really excited to be here, right, to also learn from others and to hear how they are thinking about challenges related to AI.
The UN guiding principles on business, on business and human rights. Today I shared a bit about my past work benchmarking LLMs in terms of their demographic parity on human rights queries, and I heard a lot of interesting insights from attendees. The Symposium on Cross-Cultural AI is such an important type of event that's really needed to capture cross-cultural perspectives on AI. I've gotten a lot out of attending this event, and I think many of us here have, in terms of how to build and research about the AI of tomorrow that can fulfill people's needs in the entire global world. Observer member state, but curves are stateless.
I would say that LLMs shape meaning, not just text. Language does equal culture to a large extent. Meaning depends on norms, idioms, humor, and moral frames, and every linguistic act embeds a cultural assumption. What counts as polite, what counts as true, humorous, or offensive. Without cultural awareness, these models could misinterpret idioms and metaphors and humor. They could misrepresent morals and norms and social values, but they also produce answers that could sound fluent but are really pragmatically inappropriate.
They take it from something called Common Crawl, which is an open archive of the web. I would like actually to thank the Divan for organizing this event, very important event to bridge the gap between the Arab world and Germany in the topics like artificial intelligence and cultural issues. I gave a talk to many researchers and PhD students in Germany about tools related to artificial intelligence and how to process the Arabic text and how to use open source datasets for Arabic. So I assume they learn how to use it and to take it. So such events are very important, and I'm also learned a lot about the activities being carried out to bridge the cultural gap between Germany and Arab countries. This is a very important event. I'm very happy that I participated in this event.
People play in the playground or the show. Every language is different. And clearly the next open prediction is designed for certain kinds of languages. I personally think it's not the right paradigm for Arabic, but I'm surprised that not many people in the Arabic NLP community have worked on it. And every language context is the key to sort of determine the behavior or how the word is used. So I think that part is, universal. But the structure of the language is not universal, and I think more work needs to be done on that. And I think in all things, it's not the model, ultimately it's the data, I think, and so we need to work on figuring out how to create these data sets. The next part on that, it's very expensive to create a very large, high quality and big quantity data sets. So what is the, it has to be a collaborative effort.
Feature of the culture. Yeah, I totally agree with Sanjay as well that these models are really, really good at capturing context, basically. but we are responsible at the end to create this context and to also give control to people over this context. These models are really good at solving problems, but we have to come up with the right problems basically for them to solve. So far, these models have like no cultural context, I would say. This is one of the things we are looking at least into this project with the cultural alien, basically, is to try to somehow how do we capture like cultural context in a specific time and place and try to kind of escape from that. But this could be like also the other side of this could be like how do you actually try to stick to the cultural context that you capture.
It's basically the ChatGPT tries. What is the impact of this interaction and this more and more dominance in this game that we interact with these systems, and we realize more and more these systems interact with us. And so the question is, what is the impact of this interaction on fundamental rights, on our democratic system, on the rule of law? And because I'm a computer scientist by training and I'm collaborating with legal scholars, social scientists, philosophers, the main challenge for me is how can we measure this? So how can we really show this connection, like this causal connection that these systems, nowadays of course more and more these AI systems, that they are changing us and they're changing the way we live and they're changing our society. And I called my title of the talk Towards a Global Ethos because, as you can see, the researchers who are involved, they are only diverse in their fields. And we discussed for altogether 4 days different issues and then tried to, in a couple of calls, try to summarize these topics and try to put them together of what could be like a set of guidelines that are general enough to be published more. So thanks for.
So thank you everybody for participating.